We're live.
Malik, you're muted.
Welcome to the Finance Committee meeting of the Rochester City Council. I've asked the clerk to please call the roll.
Councilmember Evans.
Present.
Councilmember Harris.
Present.
Councilmember Patterson. I thought I saw him.
Still present.
Okay. Vice President Lightfoot.
Present, ma'am.
President Scott.
Present.
Thank you.
Introductory number 1 is a resolution approving appointments to the Rochester Civil Service Commission. Are there questions, comments, or concerns on introductory number 1?
Move
Hearing
it.
none, I'll entertain a motion. It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Ayes have it.
Clerk will enter the affirmative vote of 5-0 into the record.
Introductory number 2 is authorizing an amendatory agreement with Lifetime Benefit Solutions, Inc. for the administration of flexible benefit plans. Any questions or comments on introductory number 2?
Move it.
Been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. Thank you very much.
Clerk will enter the affirmative vote of 5-0 into the record.
Thank you, Madam Clerk.
You're welcome.
Introductory number 3 is authorizing the cancellation or refund of erroneous taxes and charges. Questions, comments, or concerns?
Move it.
I have a question. I
It's
have a
been
question.
moved. Okay. Question, Councilmember Harris?
Yeah, I'm just, oh, never, you know what? I apologize. This is the wrong introductory. I'll hold that. I'm
Okay.
all set. Thank you.
So it's been moved by Councilmember Patterson. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, seconded by Councilmember Harris. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. The ayes have it.
Clerk will enter the affirmative vote of 5-0 into the record.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Introductory number 4 is authorizing an amendatory agreement and budget amendment for the Financial Empowerment Centers Initiative. Questions, comments, or concerns? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Move to adopt.
Move to adopt by Councilmember Harris. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilmember Patterson. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. The ayes have it. Thank you.
Clerk will
Madam
enter the
Clerk?
affirmative vote of 5-0 into the record.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Introductory number 5 is authorizing an agreement with Rochester Institute of Technology for a lecturer sponsorship. Questions, comments, or concerns on number 5?
I have a question.
Councilmember Lupien.
I'm wondering if we can get a little bit more information on some of the projects that Dr. Ogilvy is a part of. I'm interested in fast track. Just, I know there's some other entrepreneurial programs out there, and just wondering I don't know how to say it, but like basically how is it different than like high tech Rochester and venture jobs, for example?
Do you want that in a writing, in writing, or are you looking for an answer now?
I can answer now.
Okay,
Sure.
Madam Mayor.
So Councilmember Lupien, what venture jobs and high tech Rochester, they're working with highly skilled, highly technical group of people. But the Office of Community has been doing is working with grassroots entrepreneurs that are looking to get started, or they have a small business and they're looking to grow that business, and really working in partnership with our community partners like the Center for Urban Entrepreneurship, the Urban League, as well as with Ibero and a number of the other smaller not-for-profit organizations that provide entrepreneurial support. And so what we can do is have Dr. Lomax Campbell and Dr. DT give you a presentation because they're doing some great work. They're also working, that office works with the financial empowerment centers. And during the pandemic, we were able to assist a number of our residents with almost saving, I believe, $1 million savings. And working with them to really budget and really help them on the ground. Many of them are saving towards buying a home or, purchasing a new car. But so there's a number of different initiatives and programs that are being run through the Office of Community Wealth Building. And Dr. Ogilvy works directly with Dr. Campbell in order to bring those programs to fruition. We are also part of have a number of different initiatives with the Kauffman Foundation, which is a national foundation that really wants and helps cities build a urban entrepreneurial ecosystem. And so that ecosystem is really to take people from doing business in their basement or out of their car to then doing it in a brick and mortar place and getting capital and things like that. So we would gladly give you the information and have them do a thorough presentation for you.
Yeah, I'd really love that. I know how important it is for people to get that support because it is really hard to start a business. So thank you so much for highlighting that. And I definitely take you up on that opportunity.
Sure.
The other one that I'm curious about is the digital divide work, the Next Century Cities. I know the county is kind of heading up a task force on the digital divide, and is there any cross-pollination there?
So under the previous administration with the county, we did a study, Magellan study, where we worked to really look at the city and the county's municipal infrastructure that is underground and asked the county to partner with us to actually make the fiber that's in the ground currently that is dark actually be utilized. When this administration came in, we of course partnered on the schoolwork as well as continue to work with them. I know our Department of Youth and Recreation Services, Dr. Lyman Torres, has been working with them. We're looking at, we did a study to look at where are the gaps. So where is there connectivity issues? And there is currently a rule or regulation in county charter that precludes the infrastructure that they currently have to be used in the public way. And so most of the fiber is actually owned by the county that has been laid, but we have some connections to city. And so we're working in partnership to try and see where we have those gaps and make those, that infrastructure, try to utilize it in a way that would support the private businesses that are out there doing laying fiber, but also help our residents that currently are experiencing a digital divide. And I do know that the governor just announced in his State of the State address that he is calling on private businesses to actually offer a $15 service. And so that may work with this as well. So it's a complicated infrastructure. We have the Magellan study if you would like it, but it's something that the city initiated and led from years ago, and will continue to be a partner in trying to make that infrastructure readily available for our residents.
Great, thank you for that.
Question along those lines, Madam Mayor. Have we contacted the county about changing their charter to allow access to that dark fiber?
So part of that internal working team has been working on that, but there's some connectivity issues. So it's not that there is a seamless transition in fiber or connection. And so what the Magellan study did was look at what we currently have in the ground, where we could utilize some, lay some more infrastructure and all of that. And so once we know all that, I believe that the goal is to then hopefully get the county to change their charter or whatever rule or regulation that they had around that. But again, one of the issues also lies with the private industry and the private companies that currently service municipal buildings and service the public and other things like that, and wanted to make sure that we are not affecting and hindering our businesses as well while we're trying to help. So there's an unintended consequence. So there's a team that's looking at this now, and I'm sure that when they come forth with a plan, all those things will be considered.
May I have a motion to adopt, please?
So moved.
Second, properly moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Ayes have it. Thank you. Introductory number 31 is a resolution approving appointments to the board.
Councilmember Evans,
Oh, I'm sorry,
That's
Madam
okay.
President. Go ahead.
the clerk will enter the affirmative vote of 5-0 into the record.
Thank you. Sorry about that.
Oh, thank you.
Introductory number 31 is a resolution approving appointments to the Board of Assessment Review. Questions, comments, or concerns?
Just one, Councilmember Evans.
Yes, Councilmember Gruber?
Just a point of clarity, what is the difference between a permanent and a temporary? All right, I guess let me ask you this way. Why are there permanent and temporary members of this board?
We have 5 permanent members and we typically have 5 one-year members. If it's a busy year, if we have to rotate people in and out, run multiple boards on the same day, we have to have up to 5 permanent members with staggering expiration dates on their terms.
Gotcha. So the temporary members are essentially just giving people an opportunity to participate without making a full 5-year commitment.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. Any other questions on introductory number 31?
You have a question?
Councilmember Lupian.
Yeah, I guess, could I get an understanding of the process of that board? It's not one that I was familiar of that would, the process in changing someone's assessment.
Well, typically throughout the year, I mean, if they've come to us for an informal review, possibly, and we didn't change it, then they have the opportunity of going to the Board of Assessment Review, and the board is just a panel of real estate brokers, appraisers, people that are city residents, knowledgeable of the real estate industry within the city of Rochester and the market. Typically, the property owner would present the evidence that they have and what they believe would reduce the assessment. The city appraiser presents our position, and it's the Board of Assessment Review that makes the final determination.
Okay.
Anything else
I have a
from
question.
anyone on introductory 31?
Malik,
Yes.
I have a question.
Who was that?
Councilman Pio.
Councilmember Pio. Okay, go ahead.
So one of the criteria for being on the board is decisions made by board members are arrived at through independent judgment and deliberation free of political influence. Ms. Brooks Ward has been involved in many challenges on the political realm. Does that pose any kind of conflict there with you? Do you believe?
Well,
I
can
don't-
I comment on that before you go any further? Because I spoke to Ms. Brooks Ward earlier today in anticipation of your question, and she mentioned the fact that she's been on the Board of Assessment Review for 30 years.
That's fine. I've been on
So
city council.
why would that preclude her from being able to participate in the political process, council member?
I'm not understanding your question. I'm asking the board here. I'm just been in for the past year. So I'm asking.
She's been on there for 30 years. So why
Okay,
would
all right.
it preclude her
Councilmember
from
Patterson,
participating in the
let-
process?
Okay, hold on. Councilmember Patterson, let the gentleman answer the question and then we can move on.
Well,
Thank you.
I don't know what other challenges or anything else she's been involved in. I mean, again, yeah, she has been on the board for probably 30 years.
Yeah.
I think the corporation counsel's office might be best suited to answer what the intent is of that statute. I believe it's a lowercase p politics, not an uppercase p politics. And by that, I mean, I don't believe you're precluded from participating in the political process within your party, et cetera. But I would defer to corporation counsel. I think they would have a better answer to that question from the councilman.
Yes, thank you, Deputy Mayor. If you could forward that question to me, Councilman Pio, we can answer it with as specifically as you would like. We can look into it, but I'm not familiar with the circumstances.
I appreciate that. Sorry, I know it's last minute here. I'll send you the, it seems as if it's only one-sided. There might be some political influence on her challenges. So I'll send it over to you. I'll get some answers. Thank you.
Okay, and we can look into it immediately. Thank you.
Does anybody else from the Finance Committee have any questions on introductory number 31? All right, and Councilmember Pio will get an answer to your question. Finance Committee members, all those, I need a motion for that.
I motion.
Been moved, there a second?
Second.
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. The ayes have it. Thank you. Introductory number.
Affirmative vote of 5-0 into the record.
Thank you. Introductory number 32 is a local law amending City Charter Section 6-71.9 with respect to the tax exemption for persons with disabilities and limited incomes. Questions, comments, or concerns around introductory number 32?
I have a question.
Yes, Councilmember Harris.
I think I asked this question. I wasn't sure if it came through, but I'd like to know what's the requirements to become eligible to receive such tax exemption?
Well, you're gonna have to, you need an awards letter from Social Security, collecting supplemental Social Security income, a benefits package, or a BPQI form showing that you do have some disability that prevents you from, one of the major life tasks.
Could you explain?
Well, I did copy, and I did send it along to,
Okay.
yeah, you should have that.
What is BQY?
It's an acronym for something. It's a benefits package
Okay.
for qualifications.
We did receive that information, Mike,
Okay,
in our
Thank you.
answers. It's in the
Thank
packet.
Thank you. I guess I didn't see it. I apologize. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anything else on introductory number 32? Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
Move it.
Been moved by Councilmember Patterson. Is there a second?
A second.
Seconded by Councilmember Harris. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? The ayes have it. Madam Clerk?
The clerk will enter the affirmative vote of 5-0 into the record.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
The final introductory for Finance Committee is amending the municipal code with respect to the tax exemption for senior citizens. Questions, comments, or concerns?
Move it.
Been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. The ayes have it. Is there any other business to come before the Finance Committee?
The clerk will enter the affirmative vote of 5-0 into the record.
Yes, I forgot about that business, Madam Clerk. Sorry.
That's okay.
Any other business to come before the Finance Committee? If there is none, we are adjourned. Thank you very much.
Okay. At this time, I call the Neighborhood and Business Development Committee to order, and I ask the clerk to call the roll.
Councilmember Patterson,
Here.
Councilmember Lupian,
And here,
Councilmember Melendez,
Here.
Vice President Lightfoot,
President.
President Scott.
Here.
Short agenda this month, folks. Introductory number 6, authorizing the sale of real estate. Questions, comments, or concerns?
I have
Seeing-
some clarification.
Go ahead, Councilmember Lupian.
So I was wondering, is this the first time that owner occupants were prioritized, or is this something that we've always done?
It's certainly an expansion of that. We've done it, partially in the past, but we're definitely making a more concentrated effort to do that going forward.
That's really great news. And then I saw in there that there's kind of a goal towards getting more towards local owners.
Yeah, we're going to have some conversations with the law department. We have a council work session coming up in February. Real estate will be on that. Between now and then, we'll consult with law to see what leverage we have or what authority we have to go in that direction in a more aggressive manner.
Yeah. And you also mentioned you have a database of people who want to be notified of auctions, how do you get added to the database, and then how do you register to be a potential buyer?
So pretty much it's a historically kept database. So anybody that's contacted real estate at any time and expressed an interest in the disposition of any sale of city real estate is on that email and that list. So it's a pretty lengthy list. We need to probably do something a little bit more in the web-based application to let people sign up, and that's a direction we're looking to go.
Okay, but for the time being, people could maybe email real estate.
Email real estate, call real estate, whichever is easiest.
Okay, and then from there, they would be able to learn how to sign up as a potential buyer.
Yes, absolutely. And they'll be advised of any auctions that we're facilitating.
Okay, thank you.
And
Councilmember
going
Patterson,
forward,
just
just real quick, and going forward, all members of council will be placed on that list. Is that correct, Commissioner?
Absolutely.
Okay. Councilmember Gruber.
Thanks, and I appreciate that, Chair Patterson. Glad to be on the list, and I echo Councilmember Lupien's comments. I think it's wonderful there were more owner occupants. I'm sure you'll talk more about this at the work session. Just out of curiosity, though, what's the Reader's Digest version of the changes you made from this one, from previous ones to this one?
Well, it's just that we prioritized owner occupancy over price. So, we're kind of shifting to a more community development mindset. As a city, historically, we've tried to maximize the revenue side of this, and I think we need to look at it through a different lens. Now, that said, we all have to be aware of the type of properties that we're talking about and the means by which they come to real estate. So these are properties that nobody bought at the tax sale, that none of our partner agencies, development agencies, and with the land bank have opted to select. So they're not choice properties, if you will. So they are a challenge for most residents that, let's just say, don't have any background or history in rehabbing properties. We'll do what we can to set them up for success, but these are pretty large endeavors, and that's why we take minimal steps to make sure they have some cash on hand and things like that. But we're trying to raise people up with their intents as much as we can through other grant assistance. But these are, we really want to get to a place where we get our hands on better properties, and we've got some ideas on how to do that.
I'll also add to what the commissioner has outlined that over the last year, we did a partnership, and I know I spoke with the council president and vice president about this, and we'll have to do a presentation with Harvard, a school, one of the schools their class had Rochester as a project. And they did a study on gentrification, what gentrification looks like, and rather we have faced that here. And they gave us a number of different recommendations on how we can prioritize the work that we're doing differently and have more of an equitable response, and not let it be just about, the revenue that we might bring in, but how do we strategically actually develop communities by the work that we're doing and the great work that our Office of Housing and Neighborhood and Business Development is doing. And so this is actually putting those suggestions into practice. And I commend the commissioner and his team because, those reports and recommendations and other, other information that we get as a team is not just sitting on a shelf, we're actually putting it to practice. And so I think that you'll see a lot more of us really being strategic and intentional about investments that we are asking council to make or, asking this community to accept as we go forward.
That's phenomenal. I would love to see a copy of that study if it's possible, or if there's a PowerPoint slide or something like that the students created. That sounds really phenomenal. And I agree, Mayor, it's far too easy for studies to collect dust. So thank you for putting them to use.
All right. Any other questions, comments, or concerns on introductory number 6? Seeing none, I need a motion in a second.
Move it. Second.
Moved by Council Vice President Lightfoot, seconded by Council Member Lupien. And now we vote. All in favor of the item, please say aye.
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 All opposed to the item, please say nay. Item passes.
Clerk will enter the affirmative vote of 5-0 into the record.
URA 1, resolution approving the 2019-20 annual report of the Rochester Urban Renewal Agency. Questions, comments, or concerns?
I have a question.
You ain't got nothing I was gonna say. I know Mary got it. Go ahead, Mary.
So I read the report and I know the transmittal had some details, but wondered if there's additional updates that we can get on the Market View affordable housing project and parcel 5.
Yeah, we could prepare something additional for you.
That'd be great. Thank you.
Any other questions, comments, or concerns on URA 1? Seeing none, I need a motion and a second.
So moved.
Moved by Councilmember Melendez, seconded by
Second.
Councilmember Lupian. And now we vote. All in favor of the item, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All opposed to the item, please say nay. Item passes.
The clerk will enter the affirmative vote of 5-0 into the record.
Introductory number 7, authorizing and funding an agreement related to land management software acquisition, implementation, hosting, and managed services. Councilmember Lupian.
I actually just have a comment. I asked a lot of questions because I have a tech background and I was really interested in understanding how we were implementing this. And I just want to say thank you for the extensive information that you gave back. Really helps me understand the scope of this project and why some of the decisions were made.
Okay. Seeing no other questions, we need a motion and a second.
So moved.
Moved by Councilmember Melendez, seconded by
Second.
Council Vice President Lightfoot. And now we vote. All in favor of the item, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed to the item, please say nay. Item passed.
The clerk will enter the affirmative vote of 5-0 into the record.
Introductory number 8, authorizing an agreement for the Anti-Displacement Learning Network Program. Questions, comments, or concerns? Councilmember Lupian.
Thank you. I was just wondering in what way will residents and service providers be notified?
So last Friday, we released the RFP for consultant. As soon as we have the consultant on board, we'll develop a community engagement plan. We'll get that to you. There'll be significant opportunity for community engagement, but a lot more to come on this. This will also be a topic that we conclude in the February work session, because I know there's a lot of unknowns here. So we'll keep talking about this and we'll give you a lot more information then.
Thanks. Yeah, and it's very, very exciting.
Yes, it is.
Please send every member of council a copy of the RFP.
Yes, we will.
Sure. Any other questions, comments, or concerns? Seeing none.
One here, Councilmember Patterson.
Councilmember Gruber, go ahead.
Thanks. Yeah, very exciting. I just want to make sure that I understand exactly what's the process is here. So we're being asked right now to receive the money, and then a plan is going to be produced in terms of how to actually implement the Housing Trust Fund. Will there be an opportunity? I understand there's going to be community engagement and that we'll talk about in the work session, but functionally, will there have to be another opportunity for it to come back to council in order to set up the parameters and specifics of the Housing Trust Fund?
Yeah, I mean, imagine so, yeah, because, at some point we're going to be talking about revenue sources. We're going to be talking about purpose, intent, actionable items, what can be covered, eligible items, what's the targeted population. I imagine there's a lot of work to do here, right? So we've got a consultant that will get on contract and then we'll get busy, but there's a lot to do between now and then. And I certainly think that there's opportunity for us to come back to council and keep council engaged along the process.
Thanks. I believe I heard the mayor talk about Mayor, correct me if I'm wrong, but that potentially this is a place where revenues from legalized marijuana might come into and things of that nature. And that I think those conversations actually seem in some ways easier about, I think there's going to be agreement about where revenue comes from, but how the money is actually expensed when there's such a great need for housing dollars, and probably everyone's going to be vying over, not everyone, there's going to be a lot of vying over a small pie. I think it's the mechanics of how it gets dispersed that I'm actually more, I don't know, I have more questions about. So I appreciate that we'll have more time to talk about it.
Yes, we are at the very beginning stages of this, as the commissioner has indicated. And so it's going to be a process, and we'll make sure that council stays informed, as we go through the process. When we look at, incoming revenues or revenues that we haven't ever had possibly coming to our community, we definitely want to be wise about where we make those investments, especially in those neighborhoods that were most affected by disinvestment because of drug activity and things like that. And so we're not sure where the state is going to go as it pertains to sharing that revenue or what it looks like. And so we'll also have to contend with whatever the state legislature and the governor's office decide as it pertains to legalizing marijuana and all of that. But this is one of those places that we believe would be most welcome in receiving that investment and would have a lasting effect on the people that live in that community, in our communities.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor, will we be looking at some manner or form of tax increment financing to fund this trust fund?
At this point in time, we are not. We have some ideas that we are shooting around now. Get the funding from the tax revenue from the legalization of marijuana sales. So we're working through some of those ideas.
And let me just add to that, Councilmember Patterson, that the consultant, that's one of the tasks for the consultant as well, is to research the other trust funds that are out there. There's some cities that are alike, Rochester, and so we can see some similarities in how they're getting revenues and what they're doing with it.
Any other questions, comments, or concerns on this item?
Just to follow up, I know that there's a group meeting around the anti-displacement work with Enterprise. Will they be involved with the consultant at all?
I didn't hear the first part of that. Who?
There's a group convened around the anti-displacement work with Enterprise, right?
Yes.
Will they
Yes,
be?
they'll be involved.
Okay.
Yes.
Any other questions on this item? Seeing none, I need a motion in a second.
So moved.
Moved by President Lightfoot, seconded by Councilmember Lupien. And now we vote. All in favor of the item, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All opposed to the item, please say nay. Item passes.
Just a correction, Mike. You just promoted me to president, but that was
No,
Scott.
I'm sorry. I apologize.
It was me, Mike.
Okay, thought I said Scott, but it happens. Please forgive me. All right. So you got that, Madam Clerk?
Clerk will enter the affirmative vote of 5-0 into the record. Thank you.
All right. Well, that completes the work of this committee. There's nothing else coming before us. We are adjourned.
Okay, as the Zoom squares move around, I will call the Parks and Public Works Committee to order and ask the clerk to please call the roll.
Councilmember Gruber.
Here.
Councilmember Evans.
Here.
Councilmember Peel.
You were on mute, Councilmember Pio.
Councilmember Peel.
Here, sorry, I'm
Okay. Vice President Lightfoot.
Here.
President Scott.
Here.
Thank you.
Okay, Happy New Year to everyone. We're going to start with introductory number 9, authorizing the receipt and use of US EPA Brownfield Cleanup Grant funds for 24 and 32 York Street. Any questions, comments, or concerns? If not, I'll take a motion.
Britt, did you,
So moved.
second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes.
The clerk will enter the affirmative vote of 5-0 into the record.
Introductory number 10, authorizing an amendatory agreement with New York State Department of Transportation to provide snow and ice control. Any questions, comments, or concerns?
Move it.
It's been moved
Second.
and seconded. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes.
Clerk will enter the affirmative vote of 5-0 into the record.
Introductory number 12, a bond ordinance of the City of Rochester, New York, authorizing the issuance of $1,220,000 bonds of said city to finance a portion of the cost of the 2021 water main renewal project. Any questions, comments, or concerns?
And we'll need to go back to 11 when you're done with that.
Oh, did I just skip 11?
Yes, I believe so.
Happy New Year to me. Well, let's keep going on 12 and then we can go backwards. Can I get, are there any questions or comments on introductory number 12?
I'll move it, Mr. Chairman.
Been moved
Second.
and seconded. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes.
Clerk will enter the affirmative vote of 5-0 into the record.
Okay, moving back to introductory number 11, authorizing the 2021 water main renewal project. Any questions, comments, or concerns on that? If not, I'll take a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes.
The clerk will enter the affirmative vote of 5-0 into the record.
Introductory number 13, authorizing the 2021 lead service line replacement project. Any questions, comments, or concerns?
So moved.
There's a motion
Second.
and it's been seconded. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Motion passes.
Clerk will enter the affirmative vote of 5-0 into the record.
Introductory number 14, a bond ordinance of the City of Rochester, New York, authorizing the issuance of $700,000 bonds of said city to finance a portion of the cost of the 2021 lead service line replacement project. And there is a amendment to this motion. So I'm first going to ask for a motion to amend so that we can correct the number of lead service lines to be replaced from 227 to 213. Can I have a motion for the amendment?
Motion to amend.
And a second?
Second.
It's been seconded. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Amendment passes.
The clerk will enter the affirmative vote of 5-0 into the record for the amendment.
Great. And now we're going to vote on, or now we'll discuss and then vote introductory number 14 as amended, a bond ordinance of the City of Rochester, New York, authorizing the issuance of $700,000 bonds of said city to finance a portion of the cost of the 2021 lead service line replacement project. Are there any questions, comments, or concerns on the introductory? If not, I'll take a motion.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes.
The clerk will enter the affirmative vote of 5-0 into the record.
Introductory number 15, authorizing the Conduit 2 and 3 cathodic protection project. Any questions, comments, or concerns? If not, I'll take a motion.
Move it.
It's been moved
Second.
and seconded. All in favor, please say aye.
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 And any opposed? Motion passes.
Clerk will enter the affirmative vote of 5-0 into the record.
Introductory number 16, authorizing funding for the Mount Hope Avenue Phase 2 Improvement Project. Any questions, comments, or concerns? If not, I'll take a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes.
The clerk will enter the affirmative vote of 5-0 into the record.
Now, we are going to be holding introductories number 17, 18, and 19. Clerk Washington, do you need me to read those into the record, or can we just move on right to 20?
I don't believe so, but Tim, does he need to read those into the record?
No, the chair can decide to hold those on his own.
Okay, we're holding 17, 18, and 19. I just would like one point of clarity from Mayor Warner, Commissioner Jones. First of all, I think that 17, 18, and 19, which is all part of the pedestrian, what's it called exactly? The pedestrian safety action plan and the priority bike boulevard. These are incredibly important projects. I'm really grateful for all the hard work by the administration. I just want to make sure that we are holding these, but that they will in fact be coming back soon as is, or will there be changes to them?
There'll be no changes. We anticipate them being fully approved next month. As you can see from the locations, they're strategically laid out, and they're going to make our streets safer for pedestrian and motor vehicles.
Wonderful. I would just say this is for anyone who is watching this, and certainly we'll make sure that folks get a chance to hear more about these particular projects. This is years and years of community input in the making to make sure that particular intersections are safer for everyone. So really important stuff. Sorry we have to hold it for a month, but for a technicality probably, but I believe that ultimately we'll still get it done in construction season 2021, and that's what matters. So
absolutely, that is the goal.
We'll get it done. It'll get done.
Wonderful. So we'll move right on to.
Can I ask a question?
Sure, Councilmember Lupian, go ahead.
Just kind of a newbie question. I saw that the item was withdrawn. Is there a difference between a request to hold and a withdrawal? Is it the same thing?
This item wasn't withdrawn.
Oh, okay.
It was just on hold.
Okay.
It was the NBD item was withdrawn. This item is just on hold.
My bad. But
we
there
have
is a
to
difference.
have if my understanding is correctly, I think these are the items that we need to have additional public hearing on these items. They have to be published for a certain period of time in the local paper. And for some reason, there was a mix up with the Daily Record. And so we need to make sure that we cross every T and dot every I. So that's the reason why we're asking to hold these, and we're not changing them. We don't anticipate there being any changes in the legislation, but we want to make sure that we give the public time to, have notice to actually have a public hearing and to be able to vote on it after that. I believe that these items is that.
Yes. In line with that, we will be having a public hearing to entertain these items next week. So we'll have an extended evening. The public hearing will be before Speak to Council. We'll be getting additional information out in that regard as well.
Wonderful. We'll make sure to spread the word. Councilmember Lupian, are you good with that?
Yeah, I think I was just confused because I thought this item was withdrawn, but I think withdrawn is it goes away and it's not held in committee, and held is just it's there for the next month, right?
We will be bringing this one back next month.
Yeah, thanks.
Yep. All right, introduction number 20 is an.
I want to make a correction. I think that I anticipate, if not all these items, to be voted on Tuesday after the public hearing. Am I wrong on that, Commissioner or President Scott?
No, we'll vote on it next week after the hearing.
Okay, so
got you.
Just so that I clear the record so that people are not confused, we asked to actually hold these in committee because there needed to be a certain time frame for publishing, a certain time frame for people to be able to participate in public comment, and then for council to have their hearing. And so Council President Scott was gracious enough to allow for the public hearing to take place on Tuesday before the council meeting. And we anticipate that we will be able to bring these items out of committee on Tuesday and vote on them, because I believe that there is also some federal funding and other dollars that are attached to this. So we would anticipate that hopefully that this will go this month on Tuesday.
Thank you, Mayor Warren. Thanks for the clarity. I was not aware of that, but that's
If I may,
great news.
I believe that those items it's my understanding that they would go to the February meeting, because we didn't ask them to publish it this week. Daily Record.
We'll get some clarity on. I believe the last email said something different that I saw. So get some clarity and make sure that we get that information to.
Oh, I hope that's not
Scott, as well as Councilmember Gruber.
Okay.
Thank you, Mayor. And I can just say that in terms of, obviously there's technicalities around this stuff, but I do want to make sure that everyone knows there has already been immense public engagement on these projects. They're
Okay.
wonderful projects. And as soon as we have checked the box so that we can vote on it, we will vote on it. And I'm very hopeful that it will pass with flying colors.
Yes,
So
a lot of public engagement on these items.
yes, yes. So we will need clarity on whether we're voting on it on Tuesday or in the February meeting, but I will wait for some feedback from the clerk's office on that. We'll move right along to introduction number 20, which is authorizing an amendatory agreement for Eastman Trail Phase 1. Any questions, comments, or concerns on that? If not, I'll take a motion.
Move it.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
The clerk will enter the affirmative vote of 5-0 into the record.
Introduction number 21, a bond ordinance of the city of Rochester, New York, authorizing the issuance of $865,000 bonds of said city to finance the costs of the City Hall cooling tower replacement and HVAC system assessment. Any questions, comments, or concerns? If not, I'll take a motion.
Move it.
Second.
So moved and seconded. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
The clerk will enter the affirmative vote of 5-0 into the record.
Introductory number 23, authorizing an appropriation and agreement for the East Main Street Bridge over CSX Trans Amtrak. Any questions, comments, or concerns? If not, I'll take a motion.
Move it.
Second.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes.
The clerk enters the affirmative vote of 5-0 into the record. I believe we need to go back to 22.
Oh, I missed another one.
Yes, we do.
Shame on me. Shame on me. I will. It's good that we can talk about introduction number 22, though. Authorizing an agreement for the City Hall cooling tower replacement and HVAC system assessment. Any questions, comments, or concerns? This is an opportunity to test Commissioner Jones' encyclopedic memory on everything that's ever happened to the City Hall's HVAC system. Anyone care to challenge him? If not, I'll take a motion.
Any takers?
So move.
So moved.
Been moved and seconded. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes.
Clerk will enter the affirmative vote of 5-0 into the record.
Okay, Clerk Washington, I'm going to stop playing with your sense of order here. I'm going to get back to basics here. Introduction number 24. We're going to go in sequence now. A bond ordinance of the city of Rochester, New York, authorizing the issuance of $225,000 bonds of said city to finance a portion of the cost of the East Main Street Bridge over CSX Trans Amtrak project. Any questions, comments, or concerns? If not, I'll take a motion.
Move it.
It's been moved
Second.
and seconded. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes.
Clerk will enter the affirmative vote of 5-0 into the record.
And finally, introductory number 25, a resolution authorizing the implementation and funding of 100% of the cost of a transportation project, which may be eligible for federal aid and or state aid or reimbursement from Bridge New York funds relating to the East Main Street Bridge over CSX Trans Amtrak project. Any questions, comments, or concerns? If not, I will take a motion.
So moved.
It's been moved
Second.
and seconded. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes.
The clerk will enter the affirmative vote of 5-0 into the record.
And that concludes the business of the Parks and Public Works Committee. Thank you very much.
At this time, I want to call the Public Safety, Recreation, and Human Service Committee to order. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Vice President Lightfoot,
Present, ma'am.
Councilmember Gruber,
Here.
Councilmember Harris,
Here.
Councilmember Pio,
Here.
President Scott.
Here.
Thank you.
Introductory number 26, authorizing a mandatory agreement related to firefighter recruit training. Any questions, comments, and/or concerns? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Move to adopt.
Second.
It's been moved in second. All in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Introductory passes.
Clerk will enter the affirmative vote of 5-0 into the record.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Introductory number 27, authorizing an intermunicipal agreement with the County of Monroe for funding of firearms instructions. Any questions, comments, and/or concerns? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved in second. All in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Introductory passes.
The clerk will enter the affirmative vote of 5-0 into the record.
Introductory number 28, authorizing a mandatory agreement with the New York State Office of Victim Services. Any questions, comments, and/or concerns?
Move to adopt.
Second.
All in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Introductory passes. Madam Clerk.
Clerk will enter the affirmative vote of 5-0 into the record.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Introductory number 29, authorizing a sublease agreement with the Rochester's Works Incorporated. Any questions, comments, and/or concerns?
I do have just one question, VP Lightfoot.
Councilmember Gruber.
It's just a curiosity question. Every time we get legislation about this building, it's referred to as the former Chamber of Commerce building. And I'm wondering, is there talks about potentially naming it? Anything different?
That's just what we identify it as. It can be named something different. Right now, it housed the Chamber of Commerce organization many years ago, and so that's what it's been classified as. And I think that's what it's identified as in some of the downtown maps, and that's why we refer to it as that. But we can definitely change the name.
Just a curiosity. Thank you.
It's been historically referred to as the Chamber Building because the money for the building was donated by George Eastman. A prominent architect was hired to create that structure for the Chamber. So it's always been kind of referred to that way in all of its different iterations. But absolutely, it would be a great opportunity to name it something a little catchier than the old Chamber Building.
Maybe someday. Thank you.
Any other questions, comments, or concerns on introductory number 29? If not, I entertain a motion.
So
Not
moved.
everybody else.
Second.
So moved. Moved.
Then moved in second. All in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Introductory passes.
The clerk will enter the affirmative vote of 5-0 into the record.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Introductory number 30, amending the 2020-21 budget and authorizing an agreement related to the Crisis Intervention Service Unit. I just want to take a moment before I entertain any comments or questions to once again commend Commissioner Torres and her team, as well as Councilwoman Harris and Councilwoman Lupien for their work on this crisis intervention. We are have an opportunity, ladies and gentlemen, and citizens of Rochester, to really change how we provide services in this area. And I'm just so happy and excited to be a part of this and for this to be happening. I want to thank our Madam Mayor and the administration as well, and definitely Commissioner Torres and the council members who put forth a lot of effort and energy in this work. So I open the floor to my other council members if they have any comments or questions or concerns.
I'd like to make a comment. I'd like to echo your remarks, Vice President Lightfoot. And I'm very proud of this. As a first responder, I had an opportunity to look at it from that lens and, take a deep dive and work together with my colleagues and other members on this committee. So this is a plus for our community. This is a great day. I'm looking forward to what this crisis intervention service unit will mean for the victims that it will serve and the community that it will serve as a whole.
Thank you, Councilmember Harris. Councilmember Lupien.
Yeah, I would obviously like to echo everything that you were all saying. This is a really important step. We all, as a community, really suffered from learning about how we could improve the response to mental health and how we were maybe not giving as good a service to our residents with mental health issues. And, in my short time in government, I've never seen legislation turn around so quickly and really step up to meet the needs, and in such a really well thought out way, paved by the work that VP Lightfoot had already been doing with the homicide response team. And, I'm really also very proud of this and excited to see how well we implement this, because a lot of work went into it. A lot of people with really representative team of the community, a lot of different viewpoints, people who, have suffered from mental health issues themselves, to really provide that context and guidance of how best to meet needs. And, it's a pilot, and it's not going to, to my understanding, Dr. Lyman-Torres, is going to be 24/7 to start, which I think is incredible. And it can only go up from here. We're going to learn from the first, couple of months of the program. And I love how Dr. Lyman-Torres really built in all these different points for reevaluation to make sure that we're headed in the right direction. So just can't say enough about this program, and it's starting on the 21st. Is that right? Yes. So the community will be able to access it through 211, and 911 will have a kind of a decision tree to decide whether or not the call coming in is appropriate for the crisis intervention team, which is now branded the PIC team, People in Crisis. So yeah, this is a great day.
Awesome. Any other questions, comments, or concerns? Councilmember. I'm sorry.
Go ahead. Council can go first,
and then Madam Mayor.
Yeah, I just had a quick question. I'm just to piggyback on what Councilmember Lupien said at the end there. So I'm really grateful for all the work that 211's been doing in the community, especially since the pandemic started. Something that, frankly, Commissioner Lyman-Torres and I've worked with 211 a lot on food distribution, and getting them involved in this space makes a lot of sense to me. But I would like to hear a little bit more about the synergy between 211, 311, and 911. And potentially other phone numbers. I think, having the service is great, but people's ability to access it and for it to be streamlined is obviously of the utmost importance. So just wondering what strategies went into that, if you don't mind.
Well, the rationale being that, right now, what the team will be responding to are calls that have traditionally come into 911 and probably will still come in that way for some time. But we would like to offer the community another way, a crisis line. And all of the different communities that have something similar have a crisis line. But we were very concerned about introducing another number for our residents to have to remember and to learn and to be able to direct. So what we wanted to focus on is getting them to 211, because that has been a staple in terms of human services. And part of this project is in coordination with the county as well, who will also be using 211 for this. So we want to make sure we're consistent with the community. We want to use numbers people have been familiar with and become more familiar with, even through the pandemic, as 211 has taken on much more of a presence. And so we want to be top of mind, and we want to be something that people can remember, and hopefully someday shift some of the burden of the number of calls from 911 to an alternate method for calls that could be handled a little bit differently. So 211's selection was specific and deliberate, because we want a number that's an alternate to 911, but not to introduce a new one.
And thank you for that. And if someone calls 311 and they are having, and they're in the middle of a crisis that may make sense to be diverted to this PIC team. Is there a potential streamline there as well?
Well, 311 and 911 are run by the same, shop. So they have protocols in place for calls that may come in inadvertently to 311. So people will get directed to 911 that need to from there. But it was also important that we have 24/7 phone coverage. And so that's another reason why 211 was selected.
Thank you very much. That makes a lot of sense, and it's going to be a really thorough and important service for everyone. Appreciate it.
Any other questions? Oh, I'm sorry, Madam Mayor. Before we go to you, Madam Mayor, any other questions or comments from the council members? Madam Mayor.
No, I just wanted to echo your sentiments, but to really acknowledge the extraordinary work of Dr. Lyman Torres and her team. I cannot tell you how many sleepless nights I know she had over trying to get this done for our community. I'm working alongside those members in the community and city council to get this done, to see a need to recognize it and to be able to deliver an exceptional service in record time comes only with dedication. And because of her previous background in not-for-profit work and all those things that she brought to the table, this work was able to get done in this time frame. And so I definitely just wanted to go on record saying how much I truly appreciate her team, Aaliyah Hinton, everyone that put in the extra hours, put in the time to bring this and the other crisis teams to fruition. I know that we're doing a lot of pilot work, but the goal is to make sure that we're providing exceptional service to the citizens of Rochester, those that experience homicide or those that are in a mental health crisis, those families that need support, and doing it in a different way. We never did this type of work before in this way. We didn't do human services. And so we ask that the community please bear with us, let us know what we're getting right. But also, what we may need to improve upon because this is something that's really new, a new model for us. And I'm thankful for all of you for your support in getting this done, but definitely just most appreciative for Commissioner Torres for getting this project and this information out to our community and getting it done in record time.
Before we vote, can we get a virtual hand clap for Commissioner Torres? Virtual hand clap from everyone. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you all.
So if there's no other questions, comments, or concerns, I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Moved in second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Introductory passes.
The clerk will enter the affirmative vote of 5-0 into the record.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Just for point of privilege, I just wanted to put for the record, I have a couple of concerns. Is there anyone here from the fire department? Who's here from the fire department? Let me see what we got here. Please identify yourself.
Hello?
All right.
Yes, Chief. This is Chief Hernandez. How you doing, sir?
Well, first of all, congratulations, Chief Hernandez.
Congratulations. Congratulations.
The first Latinx fire chief in the city of Rochester. Congratulations, sir.
The state of New York,
thank you very much.
Oh, wait.
For a major city in the state of New York. So this is an extraordinary accomplishment.
Okay, all right. Forgive me. I'm sorry, sir. In the state of New York.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
All right.
So I want to start by this disclaimer. These comments, my concerns are not, they're not towards you, sir. Okay.
Okay. Yep.
But I do have some very, very deep concerns. We have had some major fires over the last couple of months. Before Christmas, we had a major printing company burned down literally to the ground. I'm not understanding if that's some suspicious behavior with that, or if that was arson, or et cetera. Then we had another incident where multiple firemen were injured, hospitalized. And one of my concerns is around communication and follow-up. And I would say that there seems to be a disconnect in those areas. And I would say that When I want to use an example of Chief Harriet Sullivan, who, when the police officer was hospitalized, I found out immediately. I was contacted. Other members of council were contacted. I believe Chief Harriet went to the hospital. We were given up to date because the community was really concerned. Council was really concerned. We were given up to date, real time information on what was going on. Those things did not happen in these incidences on the fire department. I had to find out on Twitter that we had employees that were injured, firemen that were injured. My son's a fireman. I would hate that I have to find out on Twitter that my son was injured, or anybody's son for that matter was injured. And the information, I reached out. I'm grateful to the mayor and to you, sir, because you did that and got back to me with some details, some information. But as we're looking at how we, there's always areas for improvement. So I'm not trying to belittle anybody or put anybody down, but I think this is an area for improvement. And and again, I'm not asking to be, I retired from the fire department. So I don't want to be notified about every fire. I already did that. Okay, so I'm not asking for that. Okay, I don't want to respond either. Okay, so I retired for a reason. However, as chair of public safety, as vice president of city council, I believe that we have the people should be doing their due diligence to make sure that employees of ours, especially our first responders that are injured. And then I also have questions when I talk about follow-up about even why they were even injured in the first place, because of my understanding that this was a vacant. And I remember being on the fire department, we had SOGs where we did not enter vacant buildings. And so I have some very, very, very serious concerns around these incidences, around the lack of communication, the disconnect between the department, in my opinion, the fire department and city council. And I would hope, sir, going forward, that we would be able to resolve that communication and follow-up disconnect that has been happening in the past. And I'm not looking for you to necessarily answer that today, but I just wanted that concern to be brought forth because it was very troubling for me to have to find out what's going on with firemen that were injured on the department from Twitter.
Mr. Vice President, I hear your message loud and clear. Definitely that's something I am going to work on to ensure that you won't have these concerns ever again. So I hear you, and I will be working on those concerns of yours.
Thank you, sir.
I also want to note that one of the things that we did do is to make sure that those critical fires, we changed our 911 notify. It was not in the protocol to notify on those alarm fires or when our firefighters were injured to notify city council or in that way. So we also changed that. So that communication will be coming directly to you via your telephone or whatever identification that we contact you on.
Thank you. Is that a policy, Madam Mayor?
Yes, that is a policy change. I believe Director Soretto is on the line and he could talk a little bit more, or Chief Hernandez, I think that he led that as well, making sure that the policy have been changed so that the notifies come through accurately.
And can we get a copy of that policy change, please? And Chief Hernandez, could we get a follow-up to the incident I mentioned about the vacant as well? I want to follow up about that.
Yep, no, we're doing, as you know, with the scheduling and time and doing incident action reviews and health and safety reviews, we are definitely working that, and I will have that to you shortly, sir.
Thank you. And thank you, Madam Mayor, for clarity on the policy change as well. If there's no further business to come before, I got to remember the name, the Public Safety, Recreation, and Human Service Committee, we are adjourned.
That does conclude the agenda, the council committee meetings for January. I don't think we have any.
I just wanted to let you know that I did get clarification on those items that was in Councilmember Gruber's committee. And we missed the deadline for the daily record. And so we will be holding those items and it won't be voted on until February. So Councilmember Gruber was correct that it won't be voted on until February because the notification into the Daily Record did not, we didn't make that deadline. So we're holding those items on Tuesday.
Just a point of clarification. We did have the item in on time, but Daily Record misplaced the item, so it wasn't published on time. And we called them to see if we can have it put in so that we can have the public hearing next week. And they said yes, but we were told that the item could wait till next month. The items could wait till next month.
So, Madam Mayor, are we still being requested to have the public hearing next week?
So we do not need to have the public hearing on those items next week. I don't know if there were other items that.
No, it was that.
Hearing. Okay, so then no, we do not need to have a public hearing. We can actually have that public hearing at the regular scheduled time in February.
The good news is we'll still get it done during construction season 2021. So
Absolutely.
we'll be good to go.
Absolutely.
Thank you all. So that concludes the council committee meetings for the month of January. These items will be voted on at the meeting next Tuesday.